This is the Washington Times front page for Monday, December 5th, 2022. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm George Gerbo. Georgia Republicans are trying a last-minute push to get voters to turn out in a runoff election Tuesday for Senate candidate Herschel Walker, who's seen as the underdog against Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock. Susan Friccio and Seth McLaughlin report Warnock is viewed as the slight favorite in what is otherwise a toss-up race for a seat that will decide whether Democrats will control an evenly split Senate or win a key 51st seat. Republicans are ramping up their get-out-the-vote efforts in the final days before the election, with plans to pour millions of dollars into phone banks, mailers, door knockers, and other efforts. Neither Warnock nor Walker topped the 50% in the November 8th election to avoid Tuesday's runoff. Walker finished behind Warnock by about 37,000 votes out of more than 4 million ballots cast. The Department of Homeland Security will close a migrant detention center in Philadelphia after bowing to pressure from immigrant rights activists who say the facility is tainted by a history of detaining women and children. Stephen Dinan reports deportation officials said the Berks County Residential Center became operationally unnecessary. It opened in 2001 as a place to hold illegal immigrant families awaiting deportation decisions and became a key part of the Obama and Trump administration's efforts to stop a surge of illegal immigrants. The Biden administration has ended long-term family detention and has instead moved to release illegal immigrants, making the facility obsolete. It was used most recently to house female migrants, but U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said that mission will also end. A recent Pentagon report to Congress released details of the efforts undertaken by China to build a force of weapons to use in space, including sophisticated anti-satellite missiles. Bill Gertz reports the document said Chinese space forces and related support elements continue to mature rapidly. The Pentagon report, based on Defense Intelligence Agency information, discloses for the first time that China is working on space-based weapons capable of attacking enemy targets on the Earth's surface. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. 10 months after its invasion of Ukraine, Russia is facing technical and commercial challenges to its once powerful weapons industry that it hasn't encountered since the Cold War. Even after the fall of the Soviet Union, Mike Glenn reports arms sales remained a central element of Russian foreign policy. But as a result of the war, Western sanctions have denied Russian producers access to high-tech parts that are essential to manufacturing modern military hardware. The unexpectedly poor performance of Russian forces and weaponry in Ukraine has damaged the reputation of Russian arms, and analysts say the country's technological and industrial base will now fare even worse. A Colorado web designer wants the Supreme Court to rule that faith-based artists have an absolute First Amendment right not to be forced to work on something they oppose. Alex Warrior reports Lori Smith takes her argument to the Supreme Court this week. Her attorney says it's a chance for the justices to affirm her free speech rights. Smith says having to design web pages for same-sex marriages goes against her Christian faith. The state of Colorado argues in its court filing that its public accommodation law is necessary to ensure all state residents are able to participate equally in the marketplace. And finally, new Twitter CEO Elon Musk's release of the files detailing the company's work with the Biden campaign in 2020 is drawing scrutiny of censorship alliances between technology companies and the Democratic Party. Joseph Clark reports it's added fuel to House Republicans' plans to tackle what they say is an attempt to suppress conservative points of view online. Musk, who recently took over the social media platform, has pledged to release more documents in the coming weeks. He said the new transparency is intended to right the company's past wrongs and increase public trust in the platform. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.